You hear him always after the fight, you hear Khabib say, Alhamdulillah.
Excuse me, guys. Alhamdulillah.
He sees Khabib's cousin, so Conor takes a swing and hits him, and things escalate.
And they're chanting something, Takbir, Allahu Akbar.
Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
Do you feel that, is he going to come?
Well, I believe DC threw his back out sneezing this morning. I know that one. God is great.
Yes!
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
This is the Dean Show.
Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the Dean Show. I'm excited that you're with me and hope you're excited to be here. We got an exciting guest. It's going to be very exciting. Yes, it is. Subscribe right now if you haven't. Hit that notification bell. We got Javier Mendez, one of the top trainers in the world. He's got several UFC fighters that he trains. Two of them that you might know. Daniel Cormier just had his match last week. And our brother Khabib. This is Khabib's coach, Khabib's trainer, along with his father. But he takes care of him when he's here in the U.S. And alhamdulillah, he's here on the Dean Show. We're going to be talking about many things. How you can, if you're running a successful gym or you want to, some of the top 3 tips he's going to be giving us. He's going to talk about some of the mistakes he's made and how you can learn from his mistakes and not make those mistakes. How important nutrition is in training. We're going to be talking about some of the commotion that happened with Khabib and Conor in his fight. And it's going to get even more exciting because we're going to have a exciting quiz. Call it the Javier Mendez quiz. All that and more on this week's episode of The Dean Show.
This is the Dean Show.
Javier Mendez, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for being with us here on The Dean Show.
Thanks for having me on board.
Javier Mendez, let's take you back a little bit. You're at the AKA gym and you got 100 plus minus young guys coming to see Khabib, and they've surrounded you guys. You're up against the wall, and they're chanting something. Takbir, Allahu Akbar.
Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
You probably never heard this. Maybe you have. You don't know what it means. The excitement is amazing. What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I was very happy to see so many people come and support Khabib and the love they had for him and the energy. It was pretty amazing, to be honest with you. That's what was going through my mind. It's like, wow, this person has that kind of impact on people where they just love him that much that they come support him before his fights. I thought it was amazing.
Now, you yourself, you run one of the most successful martial arts schools. Give us a few tips on running a successful martial arts school.
Well, basically it's just friendly, friendly, happy students, happy life, Keep your students happy, keep them knowledgeable, keep them motivated, and you'll have a successful gym, You don't do that, then you got problems.
So we talked about a few of the tips that are very important. What about over the years? We all make mistakes, and they say that, how did a wise man become so wise? And then they ask him, he said, I learned from other people's mistakes. So Javier, what are some of the mistakes that you've learned in training or in running a successful school that you've made that if you can go back, that you would correct or you would teach people these mistakes so they don't make them?
Well, the one big mistake I learned as a coach is when you're the head guy, you're responsible for what goes on, whether you acknowledge it or not. And for a while there, years ago, I used to be kind of like just tell the truth and et cetera, and it made my guys look bad because I was like having no blame in any part of it, which is wrong because, I saw what was going on, and if you're the head coach, it's your job to try to come in and correct the situation that's bad. So rather than, really fully commit to trying, I would try half-heartedly and then take it, okay, well, they're not going to change, instead of actually hammering it down. It's, my responsibility to do these things properly, not halfway do them, and I used to halfway do them, and now I don't halfway do anything. I go full board on it, and if there's an issue and the fighter and myself, we have to get in a heated conversation, even a fist fight, and then that's what will happen, as long as we straighten it out. And fortunately for me, it's never happened where I have to throw anything with anybody, but I've made a lot of mistakes, and you learn from your mistakes, and the whole idea is got to look to try to correct your mistakes, and you got to look at yourself too. Don't just look at other people and say it's their fault. You got to examine yourself first before you make a final decision.
Did people call you Coach Javier? What do you prefer to go by?
It doesn't matter. Javier, Javi, Coach. I'm used to. I know who they're talking to. So I don't particularly care. So
DC, he just won his fight last week, and right before the fight, he sneezes, and then his back goes out. What's going through your mind?
Well, I wasn't there, so what was going through my mind is nothing at that particular time because I knew nothing about it. But I'll tell you what happened after. So I guess that happens to him. But we're going to the fight. Usually we all go together. That's the way it always works. The UFC picks you up, takes you on the bus, all the whole team that's involved, cornermen and other people. So we're all basically on board, meeting at his room, getting ready to go. And he says, hey, Crazy Bob Cook says to me, I'm sorry, Crazy Bob Cook, who's the manager also and coach DC with me, he says, hey, just so you know, DC threw his back out sneezing this morning, and my mouth just dropped open like, what the hell? And so, he said that the UFC doctor was working on him for hours, and I guess he took a nap. He woke up at 5, and I guess from not being able to move at all, he was able to move, and he felt like he was going to be okay, So I kind of was freaking out in my mind, thinking, oh, crap, the number one thing that we need to do with this guy is wrestle. And the number one thing that could be in jeopardy is his wrestling ability if his back really goes out again. And, hopefully that didn't happen to us. But had his back gone out again, oh, my gosh, we would have had a hell of a time with Derek, because wrestling was the reason why we were able to nullify and beat him as easy as we did. It wasn't that he's not tough. It's just his wrestling wasn't to the ability of where DC's at. And we knew that Derek's never felt the kind of pressure in wrestling, that DC was going to give him.
At what age do you start to see in all your experience that guys kind of people start going in reverse? I call it, the machine starts breaking down.
And it's really hard, because DC's 39 and he's better than ever. So, you're supposed to slow down, and he's getting injured, but, he's better than he's ever been. So, and I've seen other guys that 35, 36, and they're not. So, I guess on an average, I guess 35, 36 is when you probably start seeing a little bit. But in MMA, I think you'll find more people past 36 that are still competing at the highest level and winning. DC is one prime example of that. Jacare is another one, Fabricio Werdum is another one, So a lot of these guys in MMA appear to be able to compete at the highest level at a later age, like whereas in boxing, they start falling off, at around 34, 35, they start falling off. Unlike, someone like Bernard Hopkins, who, was in his late 40s and still whooping everybody's butt. So very rare in boxing. Seems to be more common in MMA, that the age they're able to perform at a longer pace.
What advice do you give for guys to have better longevity and to be able to last longer in martial arts?
Basically, listen to your body. Don't listen to your coach. Your coach sometimes does not know what your body knows. If your body's saying take a rest and your coach is saying let's do this, let's do that, and push it, you really got to listen to your body. And if your body says you need a rest, tell the coach. And if he doesn't listen to you, then find another coach.
Oh, that's some great advice. Tell us when you had all those, going back to the moment when you had all of those people in the blue shirts, the guys, and I can see your surprised look. Have you ever had that many people come into your academy to support one person, to show that kind of love? Did you ever experience something like that when they came into Rudam Khabib?
Look, with Khabib, this is what happens. Okay, this is very typical average. We get calls when he's in camp. I want to come down and see Habib. I just want to meet him for a minute or even just take a picture with him. I'm willing to drive 6 hours. I get that all the time. I'm willing to drive 6 hours just to meet him. And they do that all the time. They come in, they wait outside, and they take a picture with him, and they're going off, and they're happy as heck. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe I met him, that type of thing. I had one guy come, he's a pilot. He came from Dubai, flew all the way down here, went to San Francisco, rented a car, comes all the way over here, meets Habib for 1 minute, gives Habib a present, and happy as hell. That was his main goal, was just to meet him. I've never had that with any of my guys, not remotely even close, none of them. He gets more love by himself than anybody all my people that I've ever had, all put together, and he still gets more love than they all do. It's unbelievable.
When you go ahead and you see, now being in a sport for so long, yourself also a competitor, how have you seen it come when at one point did you see there was more of the respect and the honor, a lot of those principles that were at one point kind of get diminished, and we saw that in the Conor McGregor Khabib fight where the great disrespect that was happening. Do you saw as we started to advance, we kind of went into a decay as far as that respect and the honor that's come with the martial arts? It's kind of more concerned about other things, fame and popularity, and kind of getting to a higher level by being the most disrespectful, saying the most craziest, outlandish things. Have you seen a difference from when you were fighting then and now?
No, this is really just one person, maybe two people tops, and he just happens to be great at marketing himself and the art of war. He does that. My feeling on that is that I just wish he wouldn't say religion, family, or politics. Just keep those things out of it. And you want to create a buzz, create it, but you're using hate to create attention, and I just think that at the very least let the person know that that's not the right thing to do, and if he chooses to do it, then you decide if you want to attach yourself to that individual or not. But I never want my guys to promote any of those three, and if they did, I would talk to them about them, and if they choose to continue to do it, then I have a choice on whether I want them with me or not. And I've never had that, so I really can't say what I would do because, I'm always on the fighter side, good or bad, how they feel. My fighters are all different. I treat them all different. So we don't all have one set standard, except for I just want my guys to be good people. But I do allow other people to do more than others. So it's not everybody falls in line or I'm cutting you. No, we have to have the compassion to see things from their perspective too. We can't just listen to our voices and our thoughts. We have to listen to their thoughts and their voices too.
Tell us your reaction. What also is going through your mind? Khabib just wins the fight, and you guys are kind of at the after event at someone's house, and then he excuses himself to go and pray. Yeah. Can you tell us about that scene and that scenario?
Well, here we go to a situation where after the fight, he does what he does, jumps the cage, which he should have never done. Nobody should condone that, and I'm sure it's not something that he feels he should have done, and he knows he was wrong for it. But he also got pushed to the buttons 2 months prior. So every day someone's pushing your button, then all of a sudden you do something like that, and obviously it wasn't the right thing, but you couldn't help yourself. We all been through that, especially when you attack those three items that I'm mentioning. So, we go back. He's already got that in his mind, and then once he tells me he was sorry, he didn't mean to do it, I apologize. I said, it's okay. Don't worry. Things will work out. And so something good usually comes out of something bad, and 10 minutes after I tell him that, Putin calls him, and he's never really spoken to Putin, and Putin calls him and congratulates him and basically just said he was proud of him for how he stood up for his family, his country, and he was very proud of him. So, something that was created to make hate out of a fight became more unity in one sense. So you used the bad and made good out of it, you know. I think that was pretty interesting. And from that point, you know, Habib has been meeting a lot of powerful people, presidents, the King of Abu Dhabi. You know, he's been on a worldwide type of, you know, kind of traveling somewhat. You know, a lot of important people are realizing how special he is. I mean, he just got, I think he just got voted to the assistant to the head of Dagestan. He's the assistant to that individual now. It's on the news. You can see it where it says Habib is taken on as the assistant, or they offered it to him, which is a huge honor.
Have you any plans, or have you ever been down to that part of the world?
No, I keep chickening out, and he says I'm because I tell him I'm going to go, and I never do, but I am planning on going. I think January. This time around, I'm definitely going to go to Dagestan. I don't know, for 2 weeks or a month. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens, but I'm definitely going.
How important is it nutrition into the fighters that you have? The aspect of nutrition into their regimen.
It's key. It's key. What you put in is what you put out. You know, think like anything, right? You know, if you're a race car, you want to have regular gas, or you want to have high performance gas, right? What's going to get the best results? High performance, right? So it's the same thing with your food. If you have athletes, you have to treat it the same. And the people that don't, the results are in what they eat, you know? So you want better performance, you got to find what foods are, you know, make you run better, you know, and make you, you know, jump higher, stronger, you know, all those type of things that are needed as an athlete. It's what you put in that comes out. So nutrition is extremely important, very, very important. And a lot of these guys are getting really good at nutrition. Habib's last 2 fights, he did the training on as far as nutrition on his own. You know, he made weight on his own, and he was healthy, strong. You know, he learned how to eat.
How important is it, Coach Javier Mendez? Now, I'm also a teacher myself of the martial arts, and I see this now, the role that not only us teachers have, but students coming up. How important do you think it is now for people who have a bigger role? Now they become UFC sensation stars, that sometimes they don't volunteer for that role as role model, but now to be good examples for the kids, for the future generations, by setting good examples.
Well, I think it's extremely important if you're in that position and you understand that. If you don't understand that, you know, you should try to at least understand it, and then you can make a wise choice on whether you want to be a role model or not. You don't have to be. You know, it's your life. You can do what you want. But if you care about the youth of America and around the world that are inspired by you, then you would want to try to be the best person you can be. You know, but no one's forced to be anything that they don't want to be. You know, the whole idea is to expose you to the good side of things and see if that's something that is to your liking. If it's not, you're not going to do it. You can't force anybody to be nice. It's either in them or it's not. And if it's in them, bring it out, you know, and let them experience, you know, what it feels like to be a good person, to help others.
What keeps you motivated after all these years? What's the drive behind you?
Well, my drive is love. You know, I look forward to come to the gym. I'm not looking like, oh, damn, I got to go train so and so. No, I look forward to it. You know, and I always tell my guys when they have a meeting with me, they're scheduled to train with me. If they don't show up, I just tell them, look, you're not going to get me ever upset if you don't show up. I'm at my gym anyway, so I'll just do something else. So if you're not here, you're not here. I go, but you need to be responsible, because don't think that you can continue to break dates with me and I'm going to still be here to train you. If you're responsible, I'm responsible. If you're not going to show up, let me know, and it doesn't matter as long as you let me know. But if you don't let me know and you never show up and I'm here, and then you know, I'm going to look at my priorities and go, hey, you know what? I think I want to go eat with my friend here, or I think I want to go somewhere else. So don't expect me to be here if you're not here for me. And those are some of the principles that really work really well. And it makes the fighter more responsible, and they know they're in control of their own destiny. I'm not forcing it on them. They're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for me. They're doing it for themselves. But they know they have my support as long as they do the right things.
Do you think Khabib is gonna come back now to be in front of the Nevada Commission? There's some talk about him not coming. Do you feel that is he going to come?
Well, I believe he will come. The only way he won't come and he shouldn't come is if Conor doesn't come. Why should he come? Yeah. Don't give an exception for one person and the other person doesn't. I mean, they're both guilty. One started it, one finished it, but they're both guilty. So they both need to answer to the commission. They both need to be there. If one person's team gets it, the other team should get it also. Again, they're both guilty. You can't point the finger at somebody and look at that you didn't do anything. That both of them did something they shouldn't have done. Now, granted, you can understand why Khabib did what he did, but it still was not the right thing to do, because you're in a position where the public could have got hurt. And you don't want to be in that position, even though most people would have attacked him way, way, way before he did. He held it longer than I think any human being could possibly hold it. But regardless, it's still not the right thing to do.
Yeah, we're not condoning the jumping over the fence, but when you put things in perspective now, just being fair and balanced, can you fill us in? Because people make the example of others who jumped over the fence. Was there any fines or is there any suspension when others jumped over the same fence?
From what I know, there's been leniencies, but, different states. Nevada's pretty tough on that. When Mike Tyson did with his disturbance, it cost him $3 million, So it just depends, The commission has never been someone that's been fair. I mean, look at, all I got to say is Nick Diaz. If you think they've been fair, then just look up Nick Diaz and what they've done to him in the past, So they're the most powerful organization in the fight world, and whether you like it or not, you either bat with them or you don't bat in the prize world. You just don't. It's impossible to. Without them, you really don't have a career in this sport or this prize fighting that we do. So right or wrong, they're still the law for what we do.
What's the maximum minimum that a person that he can end up getting fined or suspended?
It's hard to say, and that's why I brought up Nick Diaz, because for offense the cannabis that he was I guess 3 or 4 times he was an offender of that, and the minimum was supposed to be 2 years. They gave him 4 or 5 years, which is not what they're supposed to do. So for me to tell you, oh, this is what's going on, I don't really know. I know anything's possible. I know that realistically, I mean, they both shouldn't get much of a fine. I think that they basically should get 3 to 4 months and some money, but I don't think you should take their whole livelihood type money from them and just to try to make an example of them. They were wrong. Both of them were wrong, but I don't think the commission should come too harsh on Khabib, especially Khabib, because he didn't start the talking, and I like to see anybody get put in his situation, being a fighter and having the beliefs he does, his religion beliefs, and as strong as he is there, and as much as him and his father are connected, and continuously having someone badger your father, man. Look, I don't care about religion. For me, you can talk about religion all you want, about my religion. I could care less. It doesn't affect me. Politics, same thing. For him, all 3 affect him. But his father is so important to him, and he calling his father a rat, a terrorist, I mean, all those type of things. That, man, if anybody knows Khabib, his relationship with his father is so crucial and important, that, you would imagine that the kind of love he has for his father, just the fact that you mentioned his father one time would make anybody want to come after you.
Especially now we're seeing that the rise of Islamophobia, it's gotten to the most it's ever been. And I heard also there's reports that the person that was in the crowd, he called him a Muslim rat.
We know what was said. We've talked to people who were 6 feet from Dylan when he screamed, "You blank Muslim rat." And that was the last straw. And they had been taunting this guy for weeks, insulting his family, insulting his religion, his God, his father, and others. And at a point, this calm guy, Khabib, snapped. After winning the fight, the adrenaline is going high, and the last straw, "You blank Muslim rat," is what Dillon screamed. So then what do you do to Khabib? It was wrong. I mean, it was wrong to jump the fence, but you have to look at what happened to Conor McGregor when he ambushed a UFC bus and took a dolly and threw it through a window and injured 4 UFC fighters and really all over Khabib. And yet he gets arrested for a felony. He pleads to a misdemeanor, no jail time. He doesn't get suspended, doesn't get fined. Yeah, he gets suspended by the New York Athletic Commission, but he can fight anywhere else. So now Khabib is looking at possibly having his entire $2 million paycheck withheld. He is looking at a suspension and God knows what else. There's no equivalency here. And it was wrong what Khabib did. But at the same time, when you start taunting people with racist crap over and over and over, and they finally snap and get the reaction you were looking for all along, what do you expect from a human being?
Is that right? Something like that?
I heard rumored that there was talks from multiple sources that said that there was talks being said to him about that. Yes, I've heard those rumors. Firsthand, I didn't hear any of it, but I've heard from multiple sources that he was heckling him throughout the whole thing. So, yes, I heard that.
Yeah, all of us, I mean, we should respect each other. This is something like you said, I mean, driving force, you said that love, and we should have that love and respect towards each other. And I think those lines, were definitely crossed. But tell us, what have you observed now being around him and being around his brothers and the whole entourage, because there's a lot of hype out there and, misconceptions about Muslims, you actually having them around you and some of this, noticing some of the behaviors, like what is your impression?
Well, they're very disciplined. They're very humble. They stay true to what they do. But the one exception that I don't know if it's within their code, but they stick with each other. You hurt one, you hurt the other. If you do wrong to one, you got to do wrong to all of them. They're like legit family. You can't come at one and expect the others to just stand there and you do wrong to one of them. It just doesn't happen. They stick together. That's why, like Khabib's saying, if you're not going to punish the other guys and just punish my guys, then tear up my contract because you'll never see me fight again. And he's not lying. He's like, hey, fair is fair. Treat us fair. If we're all guilty, then give us all the same kind of punishment. But don't think you can give me special privileges and you condemn my guys who are really not involved other than trying to help me. Mm-hmm. And I see his point 100%, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stand up. You're supposed to stick up for people that are there to help you. And reference Conor did the same thing. Conor didn't know what was going on. The fence was jumped. His cousin was up on the fence. Conor was up on the fence. Conor's already thinking Khabib's already potentially doing what? Hurting my guys. So he sees Khabib's cousin. So Conor takes a swing and hits him and things escalate, Not saying that Conor was right in doing what he's doing. No, I'm not saying that. He was wrong. But so was Khabib for jumping the fence. So I'm just saying they're all wrong, and it all started because of the discussion of the politics, the discussion of the religion, discussion of the family. Had those topics been avoided, it would have never happened. Just as much as had I been able to foresee what was going to happen, I would have told him, to focus on being cool after the fight, because I was working with him. Once we knew the fight was signed, I said, look, listen, he's a master at the art of war. He's going to come at you, religion, family, politics. He's going to say all these bad things. I need you to stay in control. And I told Khabib, you either fight back, but if you fight back in a fun way, or you do nothing. And, we were going to do a scenario where he first came out and I wanted to put somebody in a chicken outfit, and have Khabib chase him down, in a fun way, and Khabib said, no, coach, please, I don't want to do that. I don't want to combat him like that. I said, okay, respectful. So don't go at him in a mean way then. And he didn't. but what I didn't think about is what to do after. So every day we were talking about stay humble, stay relaxed, use all this energy against him to benefit you in when it counts in the cage, because that's when it counts. This is not real life or death. This is a competition. So you got to learn to win in that in that arena. So I worked with him on that, but I never said anything about once you beat him, then be professional, stay this, because I think had I done that, I think we might not have seen what happened. So I kind of blame myself for not thinking about that. And also, instead of going in the cage right away, like some of the other guys did, I went on the outside, like celebrating with friends, like, hey, high five type thing. And, I should have went in the cage first, because I had gone in the cage like I should have. It would have never happened, because I could have stopped him. I could have stopped him. And so I'm partly to blame on that too, even though you're saying, well, what, it's not your fault. Well, it kind of is, because if I'd have stepped in there, I know the kind of what I mean to him and respect factor. So I know that if I'm there, or if his father would have been there, it would have never happened.
That's deep. I like what you said. So, I mean, it's always a learning experience, and you're evaluating it from every aspect. Let's have a few, before we cut out, just a few more, a couple more questions. We'll make this, we'll call it the Javier Mendez quiz. Since you're around most of the fighters you hear Khabib say certain words. I dedicated to help people understand some of the common things that you'll hear him say. I want to know you spend a lot of time with him. It's been years now, right?
Since 2012, he was with me. Second UFC fight on up to every one after that.
Yeah, so some of these words, let's see how good you do with the quiz. You probably heard this.
I'm gonna do bad.
We'll have some fun. We'll start with this. I'll say it. Khabib says it. I'll say it, and then you give me, let's see how good they are. We're not going to blame you. We're going to blame them for not teaching you some of the meanings behind these words, because it's so important. Assalamu alaikum.
Say salam alaikum.
Have you heard that before?
I hear it, but I'm assuming, I don't know. I don't know what, I'm assuming how you doing. I don't know.
No problem. Khabib, you got to do some work here. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. How's that? That means peace be with you. Huh?
Oh, I never.
You never.
It makes sense, but
peace be with you.
Like I told you, I'm not a religious individual. Yeah. I believe in God, and I just believe in being good. And I know God gives us the intelligence to know what good from bad is.
¿Do habla español?
Sí, pero no muy bueno.
Oh, you see. So if someone's saying, how do you say? Let's say, how do you say?
Dios.
Uno poquito. I love you. How do you say I love you? Muy bien.
Te amo. Te amo.
Te amo, te amo. Let's say someone keeps telling you te amo, and you're like, what does that mean? But then finally, your wife, she tells you in an English you can understand, in a language you understand. Now you're like, wow, that really, So I think it's important. These words, they're so important. Let's get two more. We'll have some fun with it, Javier.
You hear him screw him up.
No. You hear him always after the fight. You hear Khabib say, Alhamdulillah.
First of all, I want to say Alhamdulillah. Without God, we cannot do nothing. Everything is nothing. Number one, believe on your one God.
How about that one? You got that one?
Alhamdulillah.
No.
Come on, Javier.
I don't know.
Okay. Habib, come on, Habib. It means all thanks is to the Creator. That's it. That's what it means.
So it's kind of like that.
That's it. It's kind of like hallelujah. That's what it's like. It's kind of like.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Don't worry. We'll get one more. This one will send some people in a frenzy, but when you know the meaning, again, you had those 100 people chatting it. They were saying Takbir Allahu Akbar. Now that one, I saw the expression on your face.
I know that one. God is great.
Yes.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
You got it. Okay, we give it to you there. Now that's it. You got it. How was that? That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I got 1 out of 3.
You got 1 out of 3, Javier. If Khabib, if he gave you've seen him, he's been all over. Now he's traveling all over. But if he invited you from Dagestan to go to Hajj with him, would you mind going? It's the easiest visa you can get.
What is that?
You gotta learn the Shahada. That's it. I'm gonna leave that for Khabib. You gotta ask him, what's the Shahada? Shahada. That's the easy. Every country you go to, you need a visa. I'm telling you, it's the easiest visa to get. It comes from the heart, then it comes to the lips. It's a shahada. I'm not going to let you know what it is, but I want Habib. And you do your homework, the shahada, and maybe you go with him to, you've seen, because he's visited Mecca and done the Hajj a few times. He's visited there a few times. Maybe if he invited you, invite him, Habib, if you're tuning in. To your coach, that's one of the best gifts he can give you.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you planning to be in the Midwest anytime soon?
Well, Ali, Habib's manager, asked me if I was available to go to Morocco.
Oh, Morocco, beautiful.
Yeah, so Habib's doing something in Morocco, or he's going to Morocco, but he's gonna do something good for people. They're doing some kind of donation. I read online that it was $1 million. He's donating $1 million for some. I don't think it's Morocco. Something related to helping underprivileged countries.
Oh, okay, beautiful. You got a friend, a brother here in Chicago. If you want to stop in and say hello, we're here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here on the Dean Show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. God bless you, Javier. Thank you again, Javier Mendez, for being with us here on the Dean Show. I really appreciate you for that. And we left the homework for Habib to go ahead and opening to share what the Shahada is. And inshallah, you can go ahead and explain that to our friend Javier Mendez. For those who are too excited to wait, I actually did a program on the Shahada when Sinead O'Connor took hers. And I'll leave that in the link below. You can go ahead and watch that so you can have a further clarification and a better understanding. And if you want some more information on some of those words that we tested, we did the fun quiz with Javier Mendez with, you can go ahead and I'll leave that in the link below on those words where you hear our brother Habib saying them quite often. Again, thank you guys. And in closing, you guys are probably wondering, where's Habib? Why hasn't Habib been on the Dean Show yet? Well, you guys keep making dua, keep sharing, keep getting the message to him. And inshallah, we'll do our part. And when Allah is with you, when the Creator is with you, there's nobody that can stop you. If it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. And inshallah, until then, you guys still stay connected to God. Stay connected to prayer. Keep it humble, keep it respectful. And to our brother Habib, send me the location. Let's make it happen. Send me the location, my brother. Until next time, peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.